Welcome, everybody, to the Grueling Truths NFL Prediction Show special as we preview the upcoming Super Bowl 57 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to remind everybody that's watching, the Grueling Truths is powered by Betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online sportsbook or casino that's right for you. Make sure you check them out at Betting.net. Also, our Twitter, you can follow us at Grueling Truth, at Grueling Truth. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Check out SI Sportsbook, which is our top recommended sportsbook for betting on this year's Super Bowl. I am your host, Mike Goodpaster. My co-host, as always, will start off in the bottom left-hand corner with the grumpy old man. We're going to go 1981 national champion, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, doing good. I got a question for you guys.
Shoot.
Did I have a nice tush in high school?
Fuck yeah, you did.
It looks like that kid in front of you likes your front. All right,
Yeah.
Next up, on the top left-hand corner, we've got our NBA contributor and college basketball contributor, Joe Spillman. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, Mike, how are you? What are you laughing at, Steve?
NBA and college basketball?
That's right, Steve.
Holy cow.
that's right. Yeah.
Where's your championship ring?
I don't have one, Steve. I'm not
I
Show
don't
saying
your
think
Super
so.
Bowl trophy.
How many NBA games have you been to in your life?
You
A
just
bunch.
went Sunday.
Yeah. Steve.
How many have you been to?
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
Shut up.
All right,
Three,
next up,
4,
bottom
5?
right-hand corner, we got NFL beat writer who
How
has
many
covered
NFL games have you
the
watched
NFL
on
draft.
TV?
and has been to the NFL draft. Dan Kornhauser, how you doing, Corny?
What's up, boys? So listen, we're at a very, very
Dan's got
key point.
credibility.
We're at a key point right now in our season. So I was the regular season champ by 10 games.
Means
I'm a
nothing.
legend. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I couldn't do it without you guys. But here we
I'm
are.
a six-time champion. You won once. But I could bring this up. All 6 times, I won the regular season. I also won the playoff picks.
Well,
Yeah,
I
but-
hope you pick the team that I'm not picking. Yeah, because I want to win. We're all 7-5. You, me, and Steve. And this is it. This is the tiebreaker.
He's taking the LeBron James approach. Championships don't matter, Mike. It's all about how many games it's all about
How many
scoring
points
to
he
him.
scores.
Yeah,
That's
it's all
it,
about
baby.
scoring to him. He's the GOAT because he scored points.
All
You
right.
like that?
So, Super Bowl 57. We got the Chiefs. We've got the Eagles. When you look at these teams, what's the matchup that you think will decide this game more than anything, Joe?
Well, really, I think this really comes down to what Jalen Hurts is going to be able to do. I think Jalen Hurts is still hurt. I don't think he played that well, even though, they put up 30 points. I don't think he played that well in the NFC Championship. I don't think he played that well in the divisional round. So I think really this game is going to come down to what Jalen Hurts is going to be able to do. We know what Patrick Mahomes could do. We know what Patrick Mahomes could do on one leg, and I expect him to play his game. So, if Jalen Hurts is able to put up big numbers on the ground and in the air, if he could put up over 250 in the air, which I think is doubtable, I think that the Eagles are looking pretty good in this game. I think if he's held to 120 yards and 2 interceptions, obviously it's not going to go well for the Eagles.
All right, Steve, what do you think is your big matchup here to watch that decides the game?
Well, since Mr. Authority didn't even talk about a matchup, he just
You know
talked
what,
about whether
Steve?
you
talked
did.
shut
Talk
up.
about the quarterbacks.
he talked
Yeah.
about whether Jalen Hurts is going to puke on himself.
No,
or not.
Steve, I talked about the damn
Hey,
quarterbacks.
It's
Give
my
your damn
turn to
matchup.
talk. I didn't bother you when you were talking, so quiet.
You didn't figure out how to put that picture behind you either. Joe helped
Yes, I
you.
did.
Go ahead.
I figured out on Restream, which is a fake version of Zoom.
They do entirely different things. You can't go live on Zoom, can you?
Yes,
I don't know. Yeah, you can,
Then why didn't you do it last night, Joe?
because we didn't want to.
Steve thought you were live. Go ahead, Steve. Before you
All
lose
right.
the audience.
I think the big matchup is Patrick Mahomes versus the Philadelphia defense. I think if the defense can contain Mahomes, I think that the Phillies got this game in the bag. I think they're a better team overall. But I think if Mahomes breaks loose and does what Mahomes does best, he's going to wreak havoc with Kelsey and his crew, and just do magically stupid things that very few other quarterbacks in the NFL can do. So to me, I agree with Joe. Hurts is a question mark, but he's a question mark. He's not a matchup. So the matchup, I think, is, again, just Mahomes against the Philly defense.
All right, Dan, what's your matchup that you think decides this game more than anything else?
I mean, I'm shocked one of these two guys didn't say it yet. And Mike, if you went before me, you probably would have mentioned it. But I think it's trench play, offensive line, defensive line. It all starts up front. I mean, you guys are Bengals fans. We saw what happened last year. The Bengals were the better team. They lost only because their offensive line
Same
collapsed.
thing happened this year.
And it happened this year. A couple of years ago, the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl against the Bucs. The Bucs just steamroll the Chiefs. Why? Maybe a little bit because Mahomes wasn't healthy, but their offensive line got absolutely torn to shreds. Philadelphia had 70 sacks in the regular season, which led the league. They currently, thus far through the postseason and the regular season combined, have the most sacks in a single season by a team. They more than the 85 Bears. Think about that for a hot second. And as good as Kansas City's offensive line has been, particularly inside, they might have the best interior offensive line in the league with their two guards and Humphrey at center. Their tackles are not quite right. And the Eagles bring not only the number one pass rush in the NFL, but they have 5 guys who had at least 10 or 11 sacks each in the regular season. And all of their key guys up front have contributed at least a sack and a tackle for loss thus far this postseason through those 2 games played so far. And as good as these quarterbacks are, you guys know how much I love Mahomes. I mean, hell, I got the man's jersey on right now.
Dude, you own every guy's jersey who played in the NFL or you slept with.
Oh, almost. But you guys know how I feel about Mahomes. Okay, that goes without saying. But if he can't get, if he's not 100%, and neither is Jalen Hurts, their offensive lines are going to have to step up. Chris Jones has been a beast this season. He dominated the Bengals in the championship game, and that's where it's going to be won up front.
I agree with you, but I'm looking at this from a Chris Jones perspective because when you match teams up, the thing that stands out to me, Chris Jones, they're going to put over Suamalo, who has a pass blocking win rate of 60%. Average is 70%. The other one is left tackle Jordan Mailata, who is 74.3%, just above the baseline of 79.2% for his spot. So I think Chris Jones, I think you're going to see him line up over to right guard or in the vicinity of that right guard a lot because I think you have a huge disadvantage there for the Eagles. Now, offensive line, when you look at it, though, I think the Eagles can run the ball. All right. Kansas City is not a great run defense, which I still don't understand why the Bengals did not even attempt to run the ball in their game. So I think that's huge. The other big matchup is Travis Kelce against Philadelphia's Avonte Maddox. Now, Avonte Maddox has the best rate for defending tight ends in the NFL this season. 18% pass completions against him. He's the best slot corner in the NFL. He's going to go against Kelce. Now, if you shut Kelce down, the game's over. All right. If you could contain Kelce, you're probably going to win. If Kelce goes off and has 14 receptions for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, you probably lose the game. So, yeah, I'm disappointed in what the first 2 people here had to say were the most important matchups because football is won in the trenches up front, which is probably why the other 2 guys are basketball guys and Dan's a football guy. Right, Dan?
I thank you, Mike. And you know what?
Let me just converse.
Yeah, go ahead and interrupt.
Discuss
Dan.
it.
Go ahead.
Well, that's all right. I got a little seniority here, Mike.
You got seniority over all of us. You're old as hell.
That's right. So respect that, young man. Anyway, The point here is that Mahomes tends to neutralize a lot of the line play because if he's 100% mobile, he tends to dance around the line. And like I said, to a greater degree than most quarterbacks, like a Joe Burrow, he neutralizes that defensive line by being able to skirt around and run around in the backfield. Or
so does Burrow, but that's all right. One's flashy,
Burrow
one's
not
not.
nearly
So you
to
don't
the
notice.
degree or level that Mahomes can.
Other than the AFC Championship game last year where they won because of him running around. And the thing is this, last year in the
I'm
AFC
not
Championship
done, Mike.
game. Oh, well, I thought you were. You usually only have one solid point. Go ahead. That was a good one, Steve. You got to give me that one.
Yeah. No, I rest my case. I say I think that the line play is neutralized a little bit in this game if Mahomes is 100%.
All right, so I'll say this. Good line play totally takes a quarterback that scrambles away. They stay in their lanes. If you defeat the tackles, which is the weakness of the Kansas City Chiefs, you make him all of a sudden then move up in the pocket instead of extending the pocket outside. We saw Tampa Bay do that to him 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, and it completely destroyed him. He throws a couple interceptions. They get blown out in the game.
That's why Mahomes has been able to get his team to the Super Bowl 3 of the last 5 years.
Why's that?
Because he can neutralize line play.
He can't. Not against a elite defensive line. Tom Brady.
You're telling me in the last 5 years this is the only elite defensive line that's played in the Super Bowl?
No, I'm not, because I'm saying Tampa Bay was too, and they completely throttled him and shut him down.
Nope.
And in the Super Bowl,
it happens every once in a while.
Every once in a while. All right, Steve.
Well,
I'm telling you this: if the pass rush is done correctly, the quarterback's not getting away.
If is the middle word in life,
No,
Mike.
It is.
So, Mike,
yes,
you can be disappointed all you want with my answer, but you asked me what I thought was going to be the biggest issue. I understand that football games are won in the trenches, and and the line is going to decide the game. And I think we know what's going to happen up front. Philadelphia has the best offensive line in all of football. So, when you say, what do you think?
Kansas City's got a very good defensive line, too.
And they got a good, and Kansas City does have a defensive line. But you asked, your question was, what do you think the biggest matchup, or what do you think the key to this game is how I took your question. And my answer still stands.
I know, but I was just trying to side with Risley for one of the few times we ever had.
Oh, my God.
But I'll tell you this. This is what comes down to for the Chiefs and the Eagles game to be, if you talk about Jalen Hurts. Will the Eagles be able to run the ball? The Chiefs have fallen to 17th in run defense since the start of the postseason. All right? Or during the season. They're not great during the postseason. The Bengals didn't try to run on them. Jacksonville did run on them halfway decent. They dropped to 24th against the rush in neutral situations, which is like 3rd and 3, 2nd and 4, something like that, anything like that, when the offense could realistically run or throw. If the Chiefs can contain the Eagles pass or Eagles running game, I don't think Jalen Hurts has a chance here. To me, Jalen Hurts can have a big game in this game if Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell run all over the Kansas City defense, because it'll open up the RPOs, which will be much more prevalent. The problem with RPOs is if a team shuts down the run, they will then be able to defend the RPO much better. So when I look at that, that's one thing. The other thing to me, Dan, is this. When we watched the NFC Championship game, they played a team without a quarterback. The week before, they played the Giants, who are not a playoff team. Yeah, they qualified. They deserved it, but they're not really a playoff team. So my question is, they haven't really been tested the way the Chiefs have. You know, the Chiefs played the Bengals and the Bills 6 times in the last year. I mean, they're battle tested. So when I look at this, to me, the Eagles overall on both lines are better. The thing that gives me cause for concern is the fact that the Chiefs have played much better competition. They've been in much more close games. They've been to the Super Bowl before. They've got a coach that's been to the Super Bowl before. Do those things kind of even this game out for you, or do you still just think that this is a tail-up wins the damn thing?
Honestly, I think at this point, I don't think level of competition matters. I mean, sure, the Eagles have played theoretically an easier schedule. The NFC's not quite, but they still beat a tough 49ers team. Yes, the 49ers had.
How can you call a team tough when they don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball, Dan?
I mean, even after that, even with Josh Johnson in the game, it was still a one touchdown game.
I hate to tell you this, but if you've got Josh Johnson, you don't have a quarterback that can throw.
No, I know. But that doesn't mean the defense is butt. That doesn't.
I didn't say the defense was butt. What I'm saying is this, and Steve won a national championship. All right. So the thing is this: if you're battle tested in the Big Ten, and then you come up and play St. Joseph's from whatever godforsaken conference they were in the Elite Eight, it makes a huge difference that you've played against elite competition, doesn't it, Steve?
Yes, it does.
See, Dan?
And I mean, also, we talk smack about the Eagles' schedule, but I mean, it really wasn't that awful when
it was. They're in the NFC. I mean, how many good teams were in the NFC? The 3 seed were the Minnesota freaking Vikings.
The NFC was butt. That's that. I said it.
The NFC, you had the Eagles and you had the 49ers. And once the 49ers quarterback was gone, you had the Eagles. There's no other team there that's going to come to a Super Bowl and play anybody in the AFC playoffs outside of Miami and win. The Baltimore Ravens would have been, at worst, the second best team in the NFC.
I mean, they still have to play the Cowboys twice. The Cowboys were right. They still had to play the
Giants 3 times, and they lost to them once.
Giants made the playoffs. They still had to play. I mean, the Titans weren't quite this year, but they were just the 1 seed last year. So it's not, and again, San Francisco, quarterback aside, elite coaching, elite special teams, elite defense, elite weapons on offense. They still had Kittle, they still had McCaffrey. They said
but you can't throw to them.
So on and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think the level of competition is really going to matter at this point because, it's the Super Bowl. If
let's do this.
If you're not ready for this game, then you don't deserve to be there.
Let's do this. All right, let's go through the Eagles schedule. You tell me what teams had
Let's
great
not
offense.
go through the Eagles schedule. Let's keep this to a 30-minute show.
I mean, I got the Eagles schedule right in front of me.
I know. And you gave up 30, they gave up 35 to the Lions. I mean, they beat the Jaguars by a touchdown. That's a solid win, but I don't think that Jaguars team's anything close to what they were at the end of the season. But the elite offenses they played, they gave up 40 to the Cowboys. They gave up 35 to the Lions. I mean, how many elite offenses did they shut down? They gave up 33 to Aaron Rodgers.
I was going to say, 40 to 33 in week 12.
Yeah, to beat the Cowboys 40 to 34. So my question is the Eagles defense really that good? I mean, they're giving up in the 30s. You compared them to the 85 Bears. Difference is this: 85 Bears gave up 38 points 28 points season opener to Tampa Bay. They had a couple high-scoring games there. They gave up 38 to the Dolphins when they lost without their starter in Week 11 in 1985. But from then on out, they pretty much shut everybody down, and they shut down great teams. I mean, the New York Giants were a year away from winning the Super Bowl. In a championship game to beat the Rams with Eric Dickerson, I don't see that here. And you can say it doesn't matter, but I think it really does matter. If you haven't played in close games or a lot of close games in big situations, it does make a difference when your rookie quarterback, basically a rookie, I know it's his 3rd year, but last year, horrible against Tampa Bay in the playoffs. They didn't have the weapons. I understand that. But there's still a lot of questions about Jalen Hurts. And he, against a very good 49ers defense, threw for like 120 and ran for 39. That game was won because of no quarterback, short fields, and turnovers.
Still, I don't want to sell Philly short. Because even
not selling short. I'm just asking a question.
I mean, even if you want to say the schedule wasn't quite right, even if you want to say of any other Super Bowl winner or a Super Bowl team, because we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago.
They have had the easiest road.
They have
the
easiest cakewalk. They were one of the teams with an easier route.
Give me one that had an easier route. The only one that's even close is Arizona with Kurt Warner in Super Bowl 43 year. But they
Well, we
still had
can't.
to beat a good Eagles team with McNabb.
But you still can't overlook how talented this team is. Because even if you want to say the schedule was trash, the team is stacked. Brown and Devontae at receiver. Their O-line, Joe said, is maybe the best O-line in the league. Their defense, their pass rush is the best pass rush in the league. They got 5 guys with 11 sacks each. Their corners are elite. Darius Slay is one of the best corners in the league. I mean, they really don't have any outrageous weaknesses. Hell, Miles Sanders had a career year.
How about this? I would equate this to this. Gonzaga's always got a lot of talent in basketball. And then they fail in the tournament in the first couple rounds or the Sweet 16 because they're not used to playing elite competition all the time. Am I completely off base here, Joe? If I am, just tell me.
No, I don't think you're off base, but listening to the argument, we're running through how easy the Eagles schedule was and really coming up with
the Chiefs schedule wasn't hard either, but you had to beat the Jaguars and
we're coming up, with reasons why they're not ready to compete in this game. And I'm not saying that they are. I think Jalen Hurts, I've already said it, is a huge question mark. What's interesting to me, though, is everybody sitting here knows what Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs can do and Travis Kelce can do when they're on top of their game. And one thing that is eye-popping to me in this Super Bowl game is the point spread of 1.5 points. I think that when we're sitting here, I don't think really I can conceive an outcome, and not that I want it to be this way, but I can't conceive in my head or play it through my brain how the Eagles win this game. And that's really what I want somebody here sitting here to explain to me, how they believe that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be capable of winning the Super Bowl.
They're going to run the ball. They're going to have the majority of the time of possession, and they will limit how effective Patrick Mahomes can be because he's going to be on the bench. I think it's simple. That's how they win the game. Kansas City wins the game by turning it into a track meet, which means Kansas City has to get up early to try to get the Eagles out of running the ball, because I don't think Kansas City is going to stop Philly from running the ball. And if they run the ball well, it's going to be very hard for the Eagles to not win the game.
So, and apparently that's exactly what Vegas thinks is going to happen in this game.
Now, I think that if you actually had a line that they put on the game where really who they thought would win, I think this would be Eagles -5. I think you get an overvalued Kansas City team, and it's not a shot at Kansas City because you've got Patrick Mahomes. So a lot of people that know nothing about football will just go bet on Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That's how you get 1.5 points, because this is not a 1.5 point difference between these two teams, I don't think. Because when I look at them on paper, the Eagles are better at the most important positions.
Well, I could tell you this: if the Eagles are going to compete in this game, I don't think they get anywhere near the over and under of 51. I think you're looking at a 24-20 or 23-20 game. If the Eagles are going to be able to compete, what do you think, Dan?
I mean, I'm thinking the opposite. The Kansas City Chiefs defense isn't suddenly some amazing unit, and Philadelphia, you want to say Jalen Hurts is limited? That's fine.
You said it. You're worried about him too.
He's not some elite passer a la a Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or one of these great passers.
Or Patrick Mahomes.
Or Mahomes. He's not one of these guys, but that's okay. He doesn't have to be. This offense is built around the offensive line and an elite ground game, a tough, hard-nosed ground game, and downfield shots. And Hurts is one of the best downfield throwers, and he's got 2 elite weapons on the outside. So, I mean, let's not make believe Kansas City's offense, amazing. Their defense can be had.
I agree.
And
hang on. You guys have all talked. I haven't gotten to talk. I got 2 points.
I asked you a question, and you only give a one-word answer. Go ahead.
Well, because it's just a repeat of it's a department from the redundancy department.
You can't even say that without stuttering. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Two things. So, Mike, please don't start talking the minute I'm saying my first thing is directed at you.
Just don't say anything stupid.
How sure are you that the Philly defense is as good as you think it is? If by you say,
are you asking me?
Hey, yes, hang on. I'm asking everybody, but I'm directing at you because you made the comments of the vaunted Philadelphia defense. Okay. How sure are you they're vaunted if they've played shit teams all year.
My
Okay,
question.
now, don't answer yet. Don't answer yet. I got the second part of my question.
You asked me a question now.
The greatest protector of the Chiefs defense is the Chiefs offense, because Mahomes keeps his team on the field, and doesn't make his defense play a lot of defense. It's because he ball manages the ball, keeps them on the field. You don't see a lot of bombs anymore coming from the Chiefs. It's a lot of dump to Kelsey, a lot of short yardage, a lot of let's grind out, let's move the chains and get downfield, and let's keep Philly on the field defense. Let's wear their asses down, and let's protect our defense and keep them off the field. Okay? And again, that's the second part. Dan, you can handle that part. Mike, address the fact that the vaunted Eagles defense has played shit teams. How vaunted do we know they
for
are?
10 minutes that I did address that. And that is my big question about them. So I don't know you would act like I said they were vaunted.
So we
I
agree.
said
Go ahead,
that-
Dan. You're done, Mike.
just
Go
interrupt
ahead, Dan.
me. Yeah, fuck it. I'll just let you run the show, Steve.
Thank you. Go, Dan.
You're a dumbass.
And then what
makes you a son of a dumbass?
No, it doesn't, because you're not my daddy. My daddy was a good-looking man.
Let's don't get
Go
in the
ahead.
name calling, you turd.
Go fly your flag. Let's go.
Wait, Steve, what was the second part of your question?
The second part of my question was really directed at the ability of the Chiefs to protect their weaker defense by keeping them off the field.
Well, I mean, they're capable of doing it. They just haven't that much.
Is that a key for the Chiefs to win this game?
No, I think for them, the key is going to be how they respond to this Eagles pass rush. Because, I mean, guys, I don't know. I feel like we're sort of underselling how good this pass rush has been and how good Hassan Riddick has been. Riddick was a one-man wrecking.
We don't know because according to Mike, they've not played anybody but shit teams all season long.
I didn't say nothing but shit teams. What I'm saying is when they play teams like the Cowboys. How good this
defensive line is?
When they play the Cowboys,
I mean, they played against no quarterbacks.
Man. I mean,
they played against weaker teams all the way. So I maybe it's the Eagles playing Mike's landmark Eagles football team. Maybe it's the Eagles versus the Eagles.
Fair.
We don't
fair.
coach them.
Maybe it's maybe that's what they've done all the way through the NFC. Now they come into a Super Bowl caliber football team, having been there 3 of the last 5 years. Maybe they're not so tough. Who knows?
Okay.
So you give me shit, but you keep making the point I made for 10 minutes that you told me to quit talking about. Go ahead, Dan.
I forgot what I was going to say. Moving on.
So here's my question, though. We've seen Patrick Mahomes have the ability to absolutely destroy pass rushes, though, in the past, because he's been able to move with his feet and get out of the pocket and essentially make chicken salad out of chicken shit. I don't think anybody here is disputing that.
I'll dispute it if his offensive tackles get overrun like they did a couple years ago in the Super Bowl. He won't get away.
And I don't think he has the ability. Just personally, my opinion right now, with a high ankle sprain. I know he played well in the AFC Championship game, or he played okay. I think he did play better than Burrow. I've got to that point, but at the end of the day, he wasn't that mobile, and he's probably still not that mobile. So and the Bengals don't have a pass rush, nor did they pass rush Mahomes in the last 4 times that they met either. So because that was effective for them not to pass rush him and contain him to keep him from getting on the edge and moving with his feet. But I think that, if we're looking right now, that we might see a pass rush that has been more effective against the Chiefs than we've seen in the last couple of seasons, just because Mahomes can't move as well.
For what it's worth, Mahomes is on the injury report with that ankle thing, a high ankle injury, but he fully practiced. The coaches have said he's definitely in a better spot. He feels like he's better. Honestly, I think if anything, the injury thing might be overblown at this point because, like you just said, he played well in the Cincinnati Bengals game.
He was on the report then too, wasn't he?
No. Yeah.
He wasn't.
Remember?
He wasn't.
Oh, wait, no, you're right. Yeah, they took him off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
Took
I
him off
don't
at the
think
last
the high ankle sprain is going to be much of an issue in this game unless he
Because
gets
it's not a
hit
high ankle
again.
sprain.
Yeah, honestly, I'm more concerned about the shoulder injury that Jalen Hurts has than I am about Mahomes' high ankle sprain.
Right, I agree. I don't think Hurts can throw.
Like you mentioned it earlier. Yeah, I'm more concerned with that. I agree with you on that point 100%. If we're going to talk injuries, that's the one to talk about. Not Mahomes' ankle, not Pacheco's wrist, not McKinnon's ankle. None of these other things matter. It's how healthy Hurts' shoulder is, if anything.
Well, and also the Chiefs have placed McCurl Hardeman on injured reserve, and they have activated Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
So maybe that's they want to run the ball a little bit more. They want to keep it from getting too crazy. Keep their offense on the field. Who knows? I mean,
and I can also tell you this: the other thing here that's huge is L'Jarius Sneed, who got hurt and had to come out of the game against the Bengals. He has practiced. He's limited participation. Everybody else that was hurt in the Bengals game seems to be full participation. They seem to be fine. So right now, I think our only really injury issues are with the two quarterbacks.
Pretty much. I mean, looking through both teams' injury reports, there's only really one that's on the Chiefs side that's worth noting is Kadarius Toney with hamstring issues, but he already said he's playing. So, I mean, we can consider other than him, we can consider the Chiefs pretty healthy.
The only people I have listed on the Chiefs injury report right now are Hardman and Sneed. So I don't even.
Yeah, Hardman's on injury reserve now. He's out. Sneed he had limited participation, I believe, today in practice.
And then on the flip side for the Eagles, typical NFL nonsense. Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson are on there. They're playing. Let's be honest. Dickerson practiced fully, so that's not an issue at all. Johnson has been playing through this torn adductor. There we go. Sorry, I had a moment there. In his groin, so I don't even think that matters anymore either. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these teams are as healthy as they can be. So I don't think it's worth it.
All right, if you want to bet the game, find the best place to bet for you. Betting.net offers expert and user reviews for every online sportsbook and casino in your state. All right, so are we done beating a dead horse? We're going to make our picks? I'm still not sure who I'm picking. We'll start off.
Let's make these picks.
We'll start off with Joe Spillman, who finished last this year picking games.
Oh, that might be a good thing. Then I'm going to take the Chiefs and I'm going to take the Chiefs, and I'll actually take them on the money line. I'm not even worried about
the point spread is 1.5. All right, you've chose not to take the 1.5.
Yes, I'm choosing not to take the 1.5.
All right, next up, Dan Kornhauser, the regular season reigning champion whose entire life rests on this pick.
Well, between the three of us, can I make a suggestion? Why don't the three of us pick a point spread or an over-under or something?
We're going to do that after we pick the game. We're probably going to go with the over-under.
Okay, but we should have something to break the tie.
We will.
Because I have a feeling at least two of us are going to pick the same team.
If you look in the rule book, it states that the host of the show takes all tie breaks, but I am willing to make an extra pick of an over and under.
Well, if you pick as dumbass as I think you're going to pick, I think you're going to lose.
Well, I'm going to take
dumbass.
All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Kansas City. I'm going to do it. I wrote down Philly, but I'm going to take KC. Screw it.
I talked you out of it, didn't I?
No, I'm letting my fanboy.
I talked him out of it.
Yeah, I know, because you made such great points when you repeated mine. Go ahead, Steve. Pick the game. It looks like you're going for Kansas City.
I'm taking Kansas City. I had that picked this morning in our Duke It Out 10 best quarterbacks in the Super Bowl show.
Yeah, you embarrassed yourself there too.
Yeah, I know, but
I'm just kidding. But
Joe, the only note we got was from Joe, who ripped me.
Actually, last time I checked on Twitter, it was already over 300 views. So I don't know what YouTube did. All right, so you guys both have Kansas City?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, going for it all. He's going for two, Dan.
I'm really not. I'm 50-50 on this game. I still think that Eagles pass rush, if they hit Mahomes, if you remember when the Bengals did hit Mahomes, he started limping in that third quarter. So a high ankle sprain worries me. Hurts' shoulder worries me. But this is the thing. They both worry me, but I'm less worried about Hurts because I think Gardner Minshew could come in and take care of this in a limited situation where nobody has time to prepare for him more than Chad Henne could. If that makes any sense. I also think this. I think the Chiefs are going to have to be successful running the ball. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. I think the Eagles will be able to run it. I think the weakness of the Eagles defense, which nobody talks about, is over the middle of that defense, throwing the ball. I think they can be had there. So somebody other than Travis Kelce is going to have to make plays at wide receiver. And to be fair, I don't like either team. I don't really care who wins. But now all I can say is fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. I will be invincible after this game. Do y'all get to play on Eagle stuff? Invincible?
Yeah.
Mark and the Funky
there.
Bunch. Yeah. Vince Papali, who's an asshole, by the way.
Mike, those were valid arguments to take
He's from
the
Philadelphia.
Eagles, and
of course he's an asshole.
it is a tough pick, but I would say that I think your theory on the Eagles defense stopping the Chiefs running game, as weak as it is valid until about halfway through the third quarter.
The Eagles running game is weak?
No, the Chiefs running game is weak.
It is.
Yeah, I know, but I think your argument that the Eagles can stop them is very valid until halfway through the third quarter, when their asses have been on the field so long that they're starting to get tired.
Dude, if the Chiefs don't run the ball successfully, they're not going to be on the field that long.
Okay.
You don't have the receivers here. I mean,
I'd
you got
say that's
Bradbury.
True with anybody but Mahomes.
You've got the best corners. I mean, it's not like Mahomes was torching the Bengals
becomes
defense.
a running back real quick on those 7-yard dumps.
Yeah. Well, he could take a 7-yard dump, but he'll be tackled immediately by, very good corners, very good linebackers. I do have a question.
Every 2 plays, 7 yards, you're getting first downs all the way down the field. Yeah, but
this is the thing. Eventually, they're not going to give you that. And then you got to throw the ball deeper, and then their pass rush is going to go smack Kermit right in the damn mouth.
Well, you know what? One thing I'll say.
That Kermit the Frog is Patrick Mahomes, and his wife is not very attractive. And his brother, I think I saw him.
All right, go ahead, Dan. Then what's the tiebreaker for Dan and I?
Well, I was going to say before we do the
over under.
Yeah, before we do the over under pick, Mike, since you had brought up the Chiefs ground game and can they get it going? If Philadelphia is as weak over the middle as you say they are, they're going to have to account for Mahomes. Have to account for Kelce over the middle. And the Chiefs are the number 32nd team in the league in terms of playing against stacked boxes, meaning 6 or more defensive players in the box.
Do you also realize they're number 1 against defending tight ends with their slot corner? 18% pass completions.
Still, I'll take that matchup. But
okay, so which wide receiver outside of Kelce can go over the middle for the Chiefs and make big plays?
If he's healthy, it's got to be Juju. It has to be.
All right, so if you want to stake your credibility in picking games on Juju Smith-Schuster, have at it. The people of Pittsburgh will tell you how that'll work out for you.
I'm picking the quarterback and the coach.
Plus, his name's Juju. That's almost anti-Semitic, so I'm waiting for him to ban him from the Super Bowl anyways.
Nice. So what's the over-under, 50.5?
50.5. Does it go over or under? Wait a second. We're gonna go ahead. Mr. Risley, do you want to? Dan, we'll leave it to you since you won in a regular season. Do you want to pick first or second?
I think you should pick first since you picked last on the.
I picked different than you guys did.
Oh, fine. I'll pick first. I'm going to go over. Taking that over.
Do you want to go over and just agree with him, and we'll do a Super Bowl MVP something to be the other tiebreaker?
No, I think that the Philly defense will hold the line. I think it's going to be a more low-scoring game than normally. I think, I just think it's going to be an under. So I'll go ahead and take under.
Well, then the Eagles win then.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
I'm not sure Hurts could put up 7 points in the game.
Oh,
I mean, you don't know. He's potentially hurt. We don't know how he's going to react to that kind of pressure against a solid football team.
I mean, we could also break the tie by this.
Because according to Mike, they've played he's throwing against nobody
right now
teams all season long.
Right now, and I didn't say that. I said a majority. He gave up in the 30s against the good ones. Right now, if you want, you both can pick a number between 1 and 10. I'm thinking of it in my head. I'll tell you which one's right, and that's the one who wins the tiebreaker.
No, we got it. He took over, and I took under. It's done.
Yeah, I figured you would go under.
Mike, show me the number, and I won't tell him.
It's not important.
Don't look. That's 5, 6. All right, guys. Anything else we want to discuss? I mean, it was awesome watching the Pro Bowl. Did y'all like the Pro Bowl games?
I didn't see it.
I didn't watch a single second.
I never even.
I watched it for like a second when I flipped by. And put it like this: whenever Snoop is playing in the Pro Bowl and it's not Snoop Dogg, I'm just not interested. I mean, what was it? Huntley threw like 2 touchdown passes this year, and he was in the Pro Bowl. That was awesome to watch. And I think Derek Carr is going to the Saints.
They need to do away with that silliness altogether. Just name
they do.
An all NFL team and be done with it.
They do name an all NFL team.
Yeah, but
year.
Stop
you don't
it.
Need a game.
Don't have a game because nobody plays. This was a joke. I mean, I did not turn it on.
It was like the last 10 years of Pro Bowls, only they didn't wear equipment this time.
You know, Mike, and I know you don't agree, but Joe knows what we did. I watched NASCAR pre-race all day.
Awesome. I watched basketball because I'm an American.
I was at an Indiana Pacers game since, I never go to those things.
I don't want to watch Wiz Khalifa rap during a NASCAR race. That doesn't sound really exciting.
I didn't really want to watch it either, but I just turned it off.
It's like Dolly Parton performing at halftime at the NBA Finals. It's just
I watched an episode of 2.5 Men.
Man,
I will say I got a fix for the Pro Bowl. Now,
what?
I got a fix for the Pro Bowl. Stay with me on this.
Here we go.
You set up a giant arena with Xboxes and TV monitors, and you play a game of Madden, and every player has to play with themselves. They have to play.
Gross. Yeah.
What came into Mike's head came into my head.
Hey, I guarantee you this. Dan is qualified to coach the American Conference in that, and Steve is qualified to coach the National Conference.
Is that why they call it? Is that why they call it a joystick?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Every player has to play themselves.
Well, controllers now have 2 joysticks.
Yeah.
Why would that be interesting?
Well, they're going to be using one for
Mike. It was a joke.
They're going to be using one to play with themselves.
Gross.
You know what? We could pull up Joe Spillman's 3 touchdowns against Deer Park in 1999.
Yeah.
No, you can go on YouTube and watch that.
I know. We can do it right now.
Yeah.
I'd have to find the plays, though. Next week, when we do our Super Bowl wrap-up show, you bet your ass we're going to have Joe Spillman highlights when he played for the Three Rivers Falcons.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was really, it's painful to watch him run. It takes so long. But luckily, there's a bunch of other white kids that were just as slow. So it worked
Perfect.
all right.
He fit right in.
I was the fastest, slowest white kid out there.
Yes,
Adorable.
he was. He was the slowest, fastest white kid out there. All right, guys. Are we doing a retro sports show tomorrow, Steve?
I guess so. I mean, whatever.
We're going to talk about whether LeBron James is really the GOAT or not.
Joe want to be on it? Get Joe on it.
I don't want to be on it.
Why not? You too good.
Why not?
No, because I'll be doing other things tomorrow during the day.
Oh yeah, you'll have to act like you're working again.
Fancy man.
You're going to be detective and.
Yeah.
Don't tell everybody. You'll blow his cover.
Yeah, I know.
Who stole the chiclets from the 7-Eleven?
That's right.
Nice.
We have a Circle K, not a 7-Eleven.
No.
Still the same people.
So we have a Ralph's, not a Kroger's. Same
That's
thing.
Well, number one, Kroger's is not called Kroger's.
No.
It's Kroger.
No, and
Okay.
it's not even called Kroger in California. It's called Fred
No,
Meyer's.
it's called Rouse.
It's called Fred Meyer's.
No, it's called Rouse.
It's not called Ralph's. It's
Fred
called
Meyer's
Ralph.
is not in California. I live out here, dumbass.
Yeah, it is because I've been to one in California.
No,
Dumbass.
if it is, it's up
You know, the only
north.
person that hasn't been called a dumbass today is Dan.
Dumbass.
You ruined it.
I blew it.
Gotta
All right,
have a
guys.
legitimate reason to call somebody a dumbass, Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
All three of you give everybody legitimate reasons to call you dumbasses every day of the week. All right. Make sure you follow The Grueling Truth. Go like our Facebook page. We're over now 150,000 followers.
And
All
if you don't
because of
like and
Steve
subscribe, you're a dumbass.
Yeah, you're a dumbass if you don't like, subscribe, and share this show. Make sure you check out the Retro Sports Hour with me and Steve Risley. And tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we will have the Indiana basketball show as we preview Indiana's titanic battle against the Michigan Wolverines and look back at Indiana's ass whooping at the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. But for now, follow at Grueling Truth. Cheer for the Eagles because I'm the only one that picked them. And we know from the history of the show, when I'm the only one that picks something, I'm usually the one that's right because the other three guys are dumbasses. But for now, for Dan Kornhauser, Joe Spillman, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth.